And welcome back to the Free to Fly online conference and fashion show. I am Patricia with a Y, Director of Operations at the Freebird Project, and I am here with my wonderful co-host Sasha, and she's ringing in from BC. Say hi, Sasha.
Hi, everybody.
And she has been manning the hangouts all day today. So thank you, Sasha, for being with our guest Emmy this morning and for being with me a little early with Miriam. And now we are with Jessica. Jessica Peterson, who is here. Say hi, Jessica.
Hey.
And she is a motivational speaker, and she is here with a fantastic topic. It's called The Gift of Imperfect. And, so many times we look at those imperfections as things we want to get rid of, as flaws. And, we can really learn to love those flaws and to find those gifts within the imperfections within ourselves. And that is all what Jessica is going to be talking about today. So take it away, Jessica.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. Totally excited about being here. Let me tell you a little bit about myself first. My name is Jessica. Like Patricia said, I'm a motivational speaker and trainer, and I empower women to love themselves for who they are, where they are right now. My mission in life is to start a self-worth revival because we are all worth it. And so I have a gift for you. We all like gifts, right? Who likes presents?
Woohoo! Yes.
We do. All right. So now before I give you this gift, I have to ask a question because I want to make sure I'm giving it to the right people. And there's nothing like getting your 73rd blender at a wedding, right? What are you going to do with another blender? Okay. So anybody in here or watching live perfect? I'm not, but no? Oh, okay. Cool. So we got the right.
Look at this guy.
That guy. Yeah, right? Till the ink runs out, right? All right. So I asked that actually for two different reasons. One is because I want to make sure that you're getting a gift that you can utilize. And two is that if I stumble or stutter or say y'all, we can, chuckle about it and move on. But love to give gifts. So the gift of imperfection is what I'm giving to you tonight. And I know that you might be a little puzzled and thinking, okay, so how can imperfection be a gift, right? Because society tells us that we can be the perfect mom, the perfect daughter, the perfect wife. There's this standard that they set that seems to be achievable and seems to be something that we can meet. But the reality is that we're never going to be the perfect mom. We're never going to be the perfect wife. We're never going to be the perfect employee, the perfect friend. And that's okay. But we have a stereotype about perfection. And so when somebody presents themselves, they tend to present the best part of themselves, and they hide the flaws and their shortcomings. And what they're doing actually is hiding the beauty of those flaws and their imperfections, because those imperfections and those flaws have power. So having flaws doesn't make you less valuable. It doesn't make you less worthy. It doesn't make you less powerful, effective, likable. It doesn't make you any less of those things. Actually, what having flaws and shortcomings do is make you more powerful and more effective and more likable. Your worth and your value isn't defined by your abilities or your lack of abilities, but and I don't have time to go into that tonight because we'll go off on a whole different tangent. So let's just back up and go back to perfection. So we're going to unwrap the gift. Everybody excited? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we know that flaws don't define our value. And has anybody heard of the Hope Diamond?
Mm-hmm.
You know what the Hope Diamond is? For those of you who aren't familiar with the Hope Diamond, it is a huge, huge, huge diamond. It's 45.5 carats. It's owned by the Smithsonian, and it's in the Natural History Museum. Anybody guess? It's about between $200 and $250 million is the value of that diamond. And guess what? It's not perfect. It's flawed. But its flaws didn't affect its value. So the Hope Diamond is actually imperfectly perfect. So my challenge to you is to remember that, like the Hope Diamond, your flaws don't make your value less. And like the Hope Diamond, you're imperfectly perfect. Say to yourself, my flaws do not affect my value. You know, remember that. Every time that something happens that comes up that you think is not, you know, going the way that you should, and you start to feel less about yourself, remember that you don't have to be perfect. All you have to do is give it your best, and giving it your best is good enough, right? So the second part of the gift is that your shortcomings give you power to win, inspire, and rise higher. And we all want to win, inspire, and rise higher, right? I mean, that's yes or yes. Of course we do. That's a big goal in life. See, the one way that we do that is that we embrace and we're open about our shortcomings, and we're open about our flaws. So, and let me give you an example. How many of you tuning in, or Patricia, or you guys for that matter, if I had come on here and said, okay, well, today I am going to talk to you about how to deal with your imperfection. I mean, I don't have imperfection, but, you know, I'm going to teach you how to deal with your own. I mean, you probably would have hit the mute button and went, shh, technical difficulties, sorry. You know, people would have hit their screen off, closed out, walked away. Coming across, and that's why the first thing I said was, you know what, I'm not perfect, because I'm not. I have flaws, I have shortcomings, and those flaws and shortcomings empower me to help others. I mean, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but I have bullet points that I'm going through. I'm looking at notes. And what that does for me is enables me to win and rise and inspire, because looking at my notes enables me to give you guys the message that I have prepared. And that message gets projected fully. So I'm not leaving something out that may touch someone's life. And hopefully, you know, something that I have said has inspired someone. And so it enables me to inspire as well. And the rise higher part is that those notes for me could go on to be a blog, could go on to be something else, a course. You know, there's things that you can do when you have shortcomings, like if your memory is not that great and you have get nervous a little bit, you need notes to look at something, or you have to write down the recipes that you're looking at. It enables you to go step by step so that the end result is what you're looking for, and so that the end result makes you more powerful. Some people may say, oh, well, why do you need to look at a recipe? Oh, well, why do you need to look at your notes? The reality is that by admitting, hey, look, I need to look at a recipe, I need to look at notes, I'm admitting that I'm not perfect, and that I'm not going to come across as I have it all together and unrelatable. When you expose your flaws and your shortcomings, and people tend to fear to do that simply because they think that that means that they're less, or they're less valuable, or people are going to look at them differently. The reality is that people don't necessarily look at you differently, and those that do, I mean, there's always people that are going to look at you differently. But those that are the ones you need to be around anyway are going to understand and relate to the things that you're not necessarily perfect at. And that inspires them and frees them up to be their best person, because now they're not living up to an expectation of perfection. We tend to hold ourselves to it, especially as women. We expect a lot from ourselves. We expect ourselves to achieve, to be perfect. The house has got to be perfectly clean. Our kids have to be perfectly in order, you know, and when we fail at those things, then we start the negative self-talk, and that starts a whole ball rolling down the hill that we don't want to even start rolling. So the bottom line is that we all have flaws, we all have shortcomings, we all have defects, and that's the definition of perfect is without flaws, shortcomings, or defects. You know, no one is free of that. So by embracing those and using those to our advantage, and using those to complement what we can do and enable us to empower other people around us, we're actually freeing ourselves. You know, perfection is a prison. It keeps us tight. It tells us that we can't. Don't try again. Nope, you didn't do it right the first time. You can't do it again. It holds us back. But when we live perfectly imperfect and we embrace the gift of imperfection, then we give ourselves the opportunity to try again. We give ourselves the opportunity to do it over, and to learn and to grow. You know, people talk about failure as the end all be all. And perfection says that failure is the end all be all, because you either do or you don't. There is no middle ground. But like imperfection, failure is a gift. You learn from it. You learn what not to do. You learn what to do. But if you hold yourself to a perfection standard, you don't give yourself that opportunity. So there's a lot of gifts to being imperfect. And sometimes it's really hard to understand or hard to put together in our heads, because we have this set standard of how we should be, how we should act, and how the world expects us to be. And it's kind of, you have to step back from that. You just have to embrace the gift of imperfection and know that when you do your best, you are doing good enough. And that is all that anybody can ever ask of you, and all that you can ask of yourself. So yeah, that is my gift to you, to everyone watching. And for those who, have a little bit of an issue with still wondering, okay, what do you mean by flaws and shortcomings and defects, and how can I use those to empower me? I actually put together a short course for you guys for free, because I believe that it's important. I believe that once, as women, men, I won't single just women out. If men watch this as well, it is in women language, so you guys might not like the course because it's a little emotional, because as women we speak in emotion. So, but I put the course together to help you understand and the steps that you need to take to free yourself from the prison of perfection and embrace the gift of imperfection. And so if that's something that you guys are interested in, you can get that by going to bit.ly/free bird gift. And that is my gift to you.
Well, thank you ever so much for that gift. I think that this presentation has been a gift. I've been taking notes all through, because I like to take notes of the things that, really, I love your win, inspire, and rise higher. Like that just, it nails exactly what it is that most women want to do with their lives. I mean, we get so caught up in the everyday, in the day-to-day, that those higher gifts, definitely that was one of the takeaways from tonight.
Awesome.
And the other one that I really liked was perfection is a prison.
It is.
I really, really liked that, because that really does nail what it is that we're missing. Yeah, perfection is a prison. That was an awesome one.
It is really, it holds us back from doing so much. When you try to do something and you don't do it up to a standard, you'll quit and you'll just give up, and sometimes it's just over that hill that the breakthrough happens. And when you cut yourself some slack and you're able to actually enjoy what it is that you're doing, life is totally different. For years, for me, is it okay if I share something?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. For years, for me, as a 3-time survivor of domestic violence, I believed that if I could be perfect, the abuse would stop. If I could be perfect, then the names would stop. It would all just stop if I could just do better. And so it took me a long time to realize, a long time after the relationships were over, to realize that A, I'm never going to be perfect. B, it wasn't my fault. And it didn't matter if I, was Miss Molly Maid and the house was perfectly clean and the meal was perfectly cooked. There still would have been a reason for the abuse to happen. And it still, according to the abuser, would have been my fault. So for years, even after the relationship, I held myself to a standard of perfection, because I thought, okay, if I can act better, do better, be better, then I will attract someone who sees that, and I will get the approval of everyone around me, and because I'm a good person, because I can do things perfectly. And so I held myself in that prison for years, trying to, be this perfect person. And when I had the epiphany that, hey, look, you're not perfect, and it's okay not to be perfect, and you can use your imperfections to actually make a powerful shift and a powerful change in those around you and in the world, then my life opened up tremendously, and opportunities opened up that I wasn't afraid not to take, because I wasn't afraid that I wouldn't do it perfectly. I knew that if I gave it my best, that was good enough, and it all worked out. You know, that fear of, oh, it's not going to work out, it's not going to be perfect, somebody's not going to be happy with what I did. 9 times out of 10, that was my own fear, and it never came true. I mean, of course, there's always, not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. You know, not everybody has to like us. But 9 times out of 10, it was the fear in my own mind that held me hostage, because I was trying to live up to a standard of perfection.
And that for me brought two thoughts to mind. The first one is the quote from Dr. Seuss, which I just love. Those who those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. The people that are going to pick on your imperfections are usually not the people that should matter to you. And the ones that do matter to you, they don't mind your imperfections. They embrace them, as you should, right? And the other thing that I got from that too was you were talking about having been in the relationships and the trying to be perfect. And for me, there came a realization that no matter how awesome I do at this, that, or the other thing, it will never be enough. There's always the moving of the line. If I would reach one thing and I was doing it awesome, there would be like, okay, but you didn't do this.
Exactly.
You know, there was always, the line always moved. There was no such thing as perfection, because perfection changed, at least within mine. It was, there were lots of things that I wanted to do better. And, you know, it wasn't until I became free within myself that I started doing better, because you can't do better when you're trapped by the imperfection, because it traps you.
It does.
Like you said.
Holds you hostage, and it costs a lot too. The ransom demand on perfection is high, you know.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, all of those people that we look at, that we perceive to be perfect, are going through their own stuff and are going through their own anxieties. And I know that, and their own stress, because if you are going through that motion of trying to be perfect, it's so stressful. I mean, the stress just goes away when you stop carrying too much about what other people think. You know, obviously you want to be, a decent person and not turn into, you know, just for yourself and be that selfish person. But in general, just giving yourself the free to be you. I mean, when you're free to be you, all of the freedoms tend to come.
Exactly. Well, and you brought a good point. You know, we look at other people and think, oh, Sally is perfect. She keeps a perfectly clean house. Her kids are perfectly well behaved. You know, she puts on this appearance of perfection. And then we hold Sally to the standard of perfection, and we expect that from her. So now she not only has to try to live up to her own standard of perfection, but now we've put her on a pedestal. And so when we expect or think that someone else is perfect, the reality is that there are probably, and we say this in our workshops and in our courses, is that those who seem to have it all put together on the outside, if you look at the inside and what's going on, they could probably really use a friend. You know, they may be hurting, they may be going through something, but they can't free themselves enough to express that and allow other people to help them. Now, I'm not saying that's the truth with everybody. I mean, there are people out there who have it put together, but of course, nobody's perfect. But we tend to compare the worst in ourselves to the best in other people. And then we think, oh, well, you know, if I could be like Sally, then I would be happy. And the reality is I'll bet Sally thinks the same thing about you sometimes, you know?
Absolutely. And that reminds me of an experience I had a few years ago where I had a friend, and she was one of those Sally homemakers. Her place looked like a Martha Stewart. She was just awesome at it. But then one day we got a chance to sit down over coffee, and she told me how much that stressed her out. She could not sit and enjoy what she had if there was a little dust over there or this sort of thing. And she really regretted the time that it took away from her children.
Mhm.
She was pushed to do this, and it was one of those things that was really important to her, but it really did cost her in a lot of ways.
Right. Right. Yep. Unfortunately, it does, And had she been okay with the dust, or had she been okay with the dust bunny, she'd have been able to enjoy the family at that time. It's just one of those. And quite frankly, if she really, really looked, she'd have found dust somewhere else. And once she dusted that spot, there'd have been. It's like being on a hamster wheel. You're constantly chasing something that you're not going to get, And so once you're off the hamster wheel, you can breathe and look around and actually get somewhere. Yeah, it's just the getting off the hamster wheel that can be a challenge.
Absolutely. So we've got about 9 minutes left here with you. I'm wondering if there are any questions from the viewing audience that want to talk about the gift of imperfection, or perhaps get a few preview tips of the courses that Jessica does offer, because this is not one of those things that you can get out of a 30-minute presentation. To really embrace the gift of imperfection, it takes a little work, because we've grown up all our lives with these messages, and it's going to take a while to get rid of the messages in a healthy way.
It does. And there's a lot involved in it too, I mean, from your thoughts to a lot of it circles around your thoughts, because when you're thinking about it and you're thinking about the perfection, then it's the whole thought issue. So there's a whole nother avenue too that goes with it.
Absolutely. And like I said, we can just scratch the surface in half an hour. It's not one of those things that you can listen to once, and there is nothing like that. When it comes to self-help and self-therapy, there is no one-shot wonder. You can't go to the doctor and ask them to give you a pill and have yourself be all healthy and shiny and new in the way you want to be. It takes work. And that's what we're here for too, though, at the Freebird Project. We're here to help you through that hard work, through support and through the resources that we're bringing together through this Free to Fly conference, and even in the clothing that we are promoting and selling, because you got to take a look at this stuff, ladies. It is freedom wear. It really truly is. It is hippie boho chic, and it feels good on, and you'll feel good in it. Like, she's wearing it. Sasha, do a little twirl. Tell us what it's like.
Look at this. You got here. I'm gonna try not to pull down, but you gotta just love this. I mean, it's just so comfortable, so flowy, hides all the things nobody needs to see. Definitely one of my favorite pieces. So.
Beautiful.
And tell me, that doesn't feel much different when you're throwing it on. It doesn't feel much different than a t-shirt, right?
It's the weirdest thing. It's like I'm wearing my pajamas. I'm super, super comfy, and I look all pretty fluffy. I've never been so happy to be in a dress in my life.
And we do have the all of that. That is from the freebirdprojectshop.com. And that one, do you remember? How about you remember the name of that one that you're wearing?
Name? No. It's pretty. There are so many different styles, and I want them all. So I really do have troubles remembering which one's which. But please feel free to come check it out. And for my part, I just want to say, oh my goodness, Jessica, you're one of the most quotable people I've ever met, and we've had some wonderful quotes from you. And I know we actually have a couple of viewers who have noted that they really enjoyed this presentation today. So I wanted to thank you and thank our viewing audience for joining us. It's been so much fun.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor. You guys are doing amazing stuff.
And it's been an honor to have you. We have been having so much fun over the course of the past 3 days. We've still got 42 left to go, and lots of great speakers coming up and lined up. We've got things on self-love. We've got Natasha, who is going to be talking about finding your feminine space. She's doing that on Saturday. We've got Emmy coming back with her French fries to foodies on Friday. And on Sunday, if you are into oracles, we have Sandra coming on, and she's going to, it's a full moon on Sunday, and she's going to do an oracle reading and walk us through that on Sunday afternoon. So there is definitely tons coming up. We've got another 5 weeks coming at us. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Jessica. And I hope the viewers that have joined us tonight will check out all our other offers and presentations at the freebirdproject.org. Thanks so much, and have an awesome evening. Happy Wednesday. We're over the hump day, and we will see you next time on Friday with Emmy, with Sasha. Sasha's going to be leading that because it is a daytime one, and I'll be at the day job. So while I'm at the day job, you can enjoy French fries to foodies with Sasha and Emmy on Friday. Until then, see ya!